Listen up. While everyone's dropping 50 grand on trucks that'll be worthless in 10 years, I'm about to show you 4 absolute beasts you can grab for 5,000 bucks that'll survive the apocalypse, your teenagers driving, and still start every morning. We're talking about trucks so tough, they make a Nokia phone look fragile. These aren't your grandfather's project trucks. These are battle-tested warriors that laugh at mechanic bills. And here's the kicker. One of these bad boys has over 300,000 miles, and it's still not even middle-aged. So buckle up, because we're about to save you $45,000 and earn you legendary status at every car meet. Let's roll. All right, coming in at number 4, we've got the truck that's basically immortal, the Toyota Hilux. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't that the thing Top Gear tried to kill and couldn't? Yes, that's exactly the one. And there's a reason it's become a living legend on every continent except North America, where, ironically, we're missing out on one of the toughest trucks ever built. Here's the deal with the Hilux. This isn't just a truck, it's a statement of defiance against planned obsolescence. While other manufacturers were figuring out how to make you come back to the dealership every 5 years, Toyota engineers in Japan were apparently asking themselves, how do we build something that never dies? And somehow they actually did it. We're talking about a truck that's the backbone of industries in Australia, the workhorse of choice across Africa, and the reason mechanics in Southeast Asia have to find other ways to make a living. The magic recipe? It's deceptively simple, and that's the point. The Hilux uses a bulletproof inline-4 diesel engine in most markets, mated to a transmission that's been proven over millions of miles across the harshest conditions on Earth. No fancy electronics that'll leave you stranded when a sensor dies, no overcomplicated systems that require a computer science degree to diagnose, just pure mechanical reliability that your grandfather would approve of. It's like Toyota took the concept of keep it simple, stupid, and turned it into a religion. But here's where it gets really interesting for the budget-conscious warrior. You can find older Hilux models, we're talking late 90s to early 2000s, for around 5 grand if you know where to look. And here's the beautiful part. These trucks at 200,000 miles are just getting broken in. I'm not kidding. There are documented cases of Hilux trucks running past 500,000 miles on the original engine with nothing more than regular oil changes and basic maintenance. It's the automotive equivalent of those people who live to be 110 years old by just drinking water and minding their own business. The suspension is another work of art. It's tough enough to handle whatever you throw in the bed, and I mean literally throw, while still giving you a ride that won't rattle your fillings loose. Leaf springs in the rear that could probably support a small building, and a front end that's been refined over decades to handle everything from highway cruising to rock crawling. People have taken these trucks through the Australian outback, across the Sahara Desert, and through Southeast Asian jungles where the humidity alone would kill a lesser vehicle. And the Hilux? It just keeps going. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the truck not in the room if you're in America. The Hilux isn't officially sold in the United States, which means finding one requires some creative importing or looking for gray market models. But in Canada, the UK, Australia, and pretty much everywhere else, these things are everywhere. And that global presence means parts are abundant and cheap. You're not hunting for some rare component from a defunct manufacturer. You're ordering parts that are probably sitting on a shelf at 3 different shops in your town. Here's my favorite party trick about the Hilux. It's the truck that survived being set on fire, dropped from a crane, submerged in the ocean, and placed on top of a building that then was demolished. That Top Gear episode wasn't an exaggeration, it was a documentary. And after all that torture, they got it running again with basic tools. Try doing that with your neighbor's financed luxury truck. I'll wait. The 4-wheel drive system on these models is also refreshingly analog. You've got a transfer case with actual mechanical engagement, no confusing terrain select buttons or modes with names like Eco Trail Sport Plus. Just lock it in and you're ready to conquer whatever nature throws at you. It's the kind of simplicity that means when you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, you can actually fix things yourself instead of calling for a flatbed. And if you're worried about creature comforts, don't worry. Sure, you're not getting heated and cooled massage seats with 17-way adjustment, but you know what you are getting? A truck that starts every single morning, no matter the temperature, no matter how long it's been sitting, no matter how much you've neglected it. That's a luxury money can't buy. Well, actually it can, for about $5,000. So there you have it, the Toyota Hilux. Number 4 on our list, but number 1 in the hearts of people who actually need their trucks to work instead of just looking pretty in a driveway. It's proof that sometimes the best engineering isn't about adding more, it's about perfecting what's already there. But hold on, because if you think the Hilux is tough, wait until you see what's coming next.
Rolling into number 3, we've got America's workhorse, the Chevrolet Silverado. And before anyone starts arguing about Ford versus Chevy in the comments, just hear me out, because what I'm about to tell you might just change your mind about which used truck deserves your hard-earned $5,000. The Silverado, particularly the models from the late 90s through the mid-2000s, represents something special in automotive history. This was the era when General Motors was building trucks that were genuinely over-engineered in the best possible way. We're talking about the GMT 800 platform, a generation that's still roaming the streets in massive numbers, and not because people can't afford newer trucks, but because they simply refuse to die. You see them at construction sites with 250,000 miles, still hauling loads like it's just another Tuesday. Now let's talk about what makes these Silverados absolute legends in the $5,000 truck game. First up, the engine options. The Vortec V8 engines in these trucks are the stuff of folklore. Whether you've got the 5.3-liter or the 6-liter, you're dealing with an engine design that's so proven, so tested, that it became the benchmark for reliability. These aren't temperamental performance engines that need constant babying. These are blue-collar power plants that wake up every morning ready to work, whether it's 10 degrees below zero or 100 degrees in the desert. And here's the kicker. Parts for these engines are so common and so cheap, you could practically build an entire spare motor from your local auto parts store's clearance bin. The beauty of the Silverado's design philosophy during this era was simplicity married with capability. You've got a fully boxed frame underneath that's tough enough to handle serious payload and towing, but the engineering isn't so complex that you need a master's degree to understand what's happening under the hood. The 4-speed automatic, yes, just 4 speeds, and that's perfect, is a tank. It's been proven across millions of trucks, it's rebuildable for reasonable money, and it doesn't have the finicky electronics that plague modern 10-speed nightmares. Sometimes less really is more, especially when you're trying to keep a truck running on a budget. Let's address the real-world usability factor that makes the Silverado such a smart buy at this price point. The cab space is genuinely comfortable for actual human beings. You're not cramming yourself into some compact cockpit designed for people who apparently don't have knees. The extended cab and crew cab models give you real room, real storage, and seating that doesn't feel like a punishment after an hour of driving. This matters when you're using your truck as, well, an actual truck, hauling your crew to the job site, loading up for a camping trip, or helping friends move for the 15th time because you made the mistake of owning a pickup. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. The aftermarket support for these Silverados is absolutely insane. Because General Motors sold these trucks in massive quantities, and because they share platforms and components with the GMC Sierra, you've got an endless ocean of parts, upgrades, and replacement components available. Need a new alternator? You've got 17 options at 3 different price points. Want to lift it? There are 50 companies making kits. Need to replace a door panel? Your local junkyard probably has 30 of them. This parts availability is the secret weapon that keeps $5,000 trucks running for another decade. The towing capacity on these trucks is no joke either. Properly equipped Silverados from this generation can tow anywhere from 7,500 to 10,000 pounds, depending on the configuration. That's real work capability for the price of a jet ski. You can haul a boat,
tow a camper, drag a car trailer, basically everything a weekend warrior or small business owner needs, without breaking into the $50,000 modern truck market that loses value faster than ice cream melts in July. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you these trucks are perfect. The interior materials feel like they were designed by someone who really loved hard plastic, and the fuel economy is about what you'd expect from a V8 truck from the early 2000s, which is to say, not great. But here's the thing. You didn't buy this truck to sip fuel delicately or to impress people with soft-touch dashboard materials. You bought it to work, to last, and to give you years of reliable service without making you visit the dealer for a $500 diagnostic fee every time a warning light blinks. The four-wheel drive system, when properly maintained, is robust and straightforward. You've got actual buttons and switches instead of cryptic digital menus. Push a button, feel the system engage, and you're ready to handle whatever weather or terrain comes your way. It's the kind of mechanical feedback that makes you feel connected to the vehicle, instead of just being a passenger managing a computer on wheels. Here's my favorite aspect of buying a Silverado in this price range: the community. Because these trucks were so popular and remain so common, there's an enormous network of owners, forums, YouTube channels, and local mechanics who know these vehicles inside and out. Got a weird noise? Someone's already diagnosed it online. Need to know which modifications are worth it? There are hundreds of documented builds. This collective knowledge base means you're never truly alone when working on your truck, which is invaluable when you're maintaining a vehicle on a budget. The bed itself deserves recognition too. It's a proper steel bed that can take abuse without cracking or denting like aluminum alternatives. Throw whatever you need back there: lumber, tools, gravel, your questionable life choices, and the Silverado just handles it. The tailgate is solid, the tie-down points are plentiful, and the whole setup is designed for people who actually use their truck beds instead of treating them like oversized grocery getters. So there you have it. The Chevrolet Silverado, number 3 on our list, and a true American classic that proves you don't need to spend a fortune to get legendary V8 power, serious capability, and a truck that'll still be running long after the payments would have ended on something new. But we're just getting warmed up, because the next truck on our list has a reputation so bulletproof it makes everything else look fragile.
Sliding into number 2. We need to talk about the undisputed king of the pickup world, the Ford F-150. And I'm not just saying that because it's been the best-selling vehicle in America for over 4 decades. I'm saying it because when you're hunting for a $5,000 truck that'll outlast everything, few vehicles on planet Earth have the proven track record of the F-150 from the late 90s and early 2000s. This is the truck that built modern America, and you can still grab one for the price of a nice vacation. Here's what makes the F-150 from this golden era so special. Ford was in the middle of what I call their "we're not messing around anymore" phase. They'd learned from decades of building trucks, and the 9th and 10th generation F-150s, we're talking roughly 1997 through 2008, represent peak analog truck engineering before everything became a rolling computer. These trucks were designed by people who understood that real-world durability beats fancy features every single time. Let's start with the engine lineup, because this is where Ford absolutely knocked it out of the park. You've got options, and I mean serious options. The 4.6-liter Triton V8 is the workhorse that never quits. It's not the most powerful or the most exciting, but it's the marathon runner that'll still be going strong when flashier engines have long since given up. Then there's the legendary 5.4-liter Triton, which gives you more grunt for towing and hauling, while still maintaining that Ford truck reliability. But here's the secret weapon that not enough people talk about: the inline-6 engines. Ford's straight-6 motors are nearly indestructible, especially the 4.9-liter that could probably survive a nuclear winter and still fire up on the first try. Now, I need to address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the spark plug in the cylinder head.
The early Triton engines had some issues with spark plugs breaking during removal. And yes, the cam phaser problems on certain 5.4-liter engines are real. But here's the thing that separates smart buyers from everyone else. These issues are well documented, widely understood, and completely manageable. For $5,000, you can find trucks where these issues have already been addressed, or you factor in a few $100s for preventative maintenance. Compare that to the cost of a single monthly payment on a new truck, and suddenly you're still coming out way ahead. The frame on these F-150s deserves its own moment of appreciation. Ford used a fully boxed frame design that's absolutely stout. This isn't some lightweight compromise. This is serious steel designed to handle payload ratings that would make smaller trucks weep. We're talking about trucks rated to carry anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 pounds in the bed, depending on configuration. That means you can load up equipment, materials, or whatever your job demands without constantly worrying if you're about to break something expensive. What really sets the F-150 apart in the used truck market is the sheer volume and variety. Ford sold these trucks in absolutely massive numbers, which means two critical things for you as a buyer. First, you have options. Need a regular cab work truck stripped down to the basics? They're out there. Want an extended cab with some comfort features? Easy to find. Looking for a crew cab with 4 full doors and luxury touches? They're everywhere. This variety means you can find exactly what you need instead of settling for whatever happens to be available. Second, that volume translates directly into parts availability and mechanic familiarity. Every single mechanic worth their salt knows these trucks inside and out because they've worked on thousands of them. The 4-wheel drive system on these F-150s is particularly noteworthy. Ford's electronic shift-on-the-fly system actually works and works well. You can engage 4-wheel drive high while moving, which is genuinely useful when weather conditions change suddenly. The system is robust enough to handle real off-road use, but simple enough that it doesn't become a maintenance nightmare. And if something does go wrong, replacement parts are abundant and reasonably priced, because again, Ford built millions of these trucks. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked, the cab comfort and ergonomics. Ford really nailed the interior layout during this generation. The controls fall naturally to hand, the seating position feels commanding without being awkward, and there's genuine storage space for actual stuff you need while working or traveling. The Super Crew models, in particular, offer rear seat space that's genuinely usable for adult humans, which matters when you need to bring a crew or your family actually wants to ride along without complaining the entire time. The bed configurations are another area where Ford's dominance in the market created choices for buyers. You can find these trucks with 5.5-foot beds, 6.5-foot beds, or full 8-foot beds. That 8-foot bed especially is increasingly rare in modern trucks, but absolutely essential for certain jobs. Try fitting a sheet of plywood flat in a modern short bed truck, and you'll understand why the traditional long bed still matters. At $5,000, you can actually afford to be picky about bed length, instead of just taking whatever the dealer has in stock. Here's something that makes the F-150 particularly appealing for DIY mechanics and budget-conscious owners: the engine bay space. Ford gave you room to actually work on these engines. You're not contorting yourself into impossible positions or removing 17 components just to change spark plugs. Well, except for those spark plug issues we mentioned. But that's a different story. The point is, routine maintenance is straightforward, and even more involved repairs are manageable for someone with basic mechanical skills and a decent set of tools. The towing capacity on properly equipped F-150s from this era ranges from 7,000 to over 10,000 pounds. That's serious capability that opens up possibilities for recreational towing, work trailers, or basically anything you need to move. Combine that with the available tow packages that include integrated brake controllers and heavy-duty cooling, and you've got a truck that's ready for real work right out of the gate. Now, let's address why these trucks can still be found around $5,000, despite being legendary for reliability. Simple, supply and demand working in your favor. Ford built so many of these trucks that even with their deserved reputation for longevity, there are still plenty in circulation. You're not hunting for some rare unicorn. You're choosing from a large pool of vehicles that have proven themselves over decades. The trick is finding one that's been maintained rather than abused. But with so many available, you can afford to be patient and selective. The F-150's reputation isn't just marketing hype, it's earned through decades of people depending on these trucks for their livelihood. Talk to contractors, ranchers, small business owners, or anyone who actually works with their vehicle, and you'll find F-150s with 300,000, 400,000, even 500,000 miles still showing up to work every day. That's not luck, that's engineering that prioritizes longevity over planned obsolescence. So there it is, the Ford F-150. Number 2 on our list, and the truck that's been America's workhorse for generations. Proven reliability, massive parts availability, endless configuration options, and real capability for a fraction of what new trucks cost. But hold on tight, because we've saved the absolute legend for last. The number 1 truck on our list has a reputation so unbreakable, so utterly bulletproof, that it's become a meme, a legend, and a borderline religious experience for anyone who's owned one.
And here we are, number 1, the absolute champion. The truck that makes mechanics everywhere nervous because it never breaks down. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nissan Frontier. And I can already hear some of you saying, wait, you put a mid-sized truck above the F-150? Yes, I did. And once you hear why, you're going to understand that this isn't just a truck. It's a phenomenon wrapped in sheet metal and powered by an engine that apparently made a deal with immortality itself. The Frontier, particularly the second generation that ran from 2005 all the way to 2021, yes, you heard that right, 16 years on the same platform, is what happens when Japanese engineering meets the simple philosophy of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. While other manufacturers were redesigning their trucks every few years, chasing trends and adding complexity, Nissan just kept building the same proven design over and over again. And you know what? That's exactly why it's number 1 on this list. Let's dive into the heart of this beast, the VQ40DE engine. This 4-liter V6 is, without exaggeration, one of the most reliable engines ever bolted into a pickup truck. It's part of Nissan's legendary VQ engine family, which has been winning awards and breaking 0 records for failure rates since the 90s. This engine doesn't care about your maintenance schedule, though you should still maintain it properly because it's been engineered with tolerances and durability that seem almost excessive. We're talking about an engine that regularly sees 300,000 miles without major issues, and I'm not cherry-picking examples. This is normal for the Frontier. People genuinely struggle to kill these engines even when they try through neglect. The transmission paired with this engine deserves equal praise. Whether you've got the 5-speed automatic or the 6-speed manual, and yes, you can still find manual transmission Frontiers, which is becoming rarer than finding honest politicians, you're dealing with transmissions that have been proven across hundreds of thousands of vehicles. The automatic is smooth, reliable, and doesn't have the complicated programming that causes modern transmissions to hunt for gears like they're searching for buried treasure. It just works, shift after shift, year after year. Now here's where the Frontier really shines in the $5,000 truck category. Because Nissan kept this generation running for so long without major changes, you've got an enormous window of model years to choose from. A 2006 Frontier shares most of its DNA with a 2015 Frontier, which means parts interchange beautifully, knowledge transfers directly, and you're not dealing with a constantly moving target of different systems and components. This consistency is a superpower when you're shopping used trucks on a budget. The frame on these trucks is a proper ladder frame design that's been galvanized and treated to resist rust far better than many competitors. Nissan learned hard lessons from earlier models about corrosion, and the second-gen Frontier shows they took those lessons seriously. You can find these trucks in salt belt states without the catastrophic frame rot that plagues other manufacturers. That alone adds years to the vehicle's usable life and makes the Frontier an especially smart buy in areas with harsh winters. Let's talk about size, because this is where the Frontier occupies a sweet spot that's increasingly rare. It's a proper mid-size truck, which means it's substantial enough to handle real work. We're talking about towing capacity up to 6,500 pounds and payload around 1,500 pounds. But it's not so massive that you need a ladder to get in or a football field to park it. You can actually maneuver this truck in urban environments, fit it in normal parking spaces, and navigate trails without scraping paint off both sides. In an era where full-size trucks have become genuinely huge, the Frontier's dimensions are refreshingly practical. The four-wheel drive system is bulletproof in its simplicity. You've got a 2-speed transfer case with a proper low range for serious off-road work, and the engagement is mechanical and positive. There's no confusion, no computer deciding whether you really need four-wheel drive right now. Just direct connection between your intention and the vehicle's capability. The rear differential is a proper solid axle, none of this independent rear suspension complexity, which means it's tough, serviceable, and proven in conditions that would make lesser trucks quit. Here's something that separates the Frontier from many competitors: the off-road capability straight from the factory. The Pro 4X trim in particular comes with Bilstein shocks, electronic locking rear differential, skid plates, and all-terrain tires. Even if you're buying a base model, the ground clearance and approach angles are genuinely respectable. This truck was designed to handle more than just smooth pavement, and it shows. People take these trucks on overlanding adventures, through desert terrain, up mountain trails, and the Frontier just handles it without drama or breakdowns. The interior is refreshingly honest. You're not getting fake luxury or cheap imitations of premium materials. What you get is durable, functional space designed for people who actually use their trucks. The controls are intuitive, the gauges are easy to read, and everything feels like it was built to last rather than to impress someone during a 10-minute test drive. The seats are supportive enough for long drives, and the crew cab models offer legitimate rear seat space that's comfortable for adults, not just theoretical passengers who apparently don't have legs. Now let's address the elephant in the room. The Frontier isn't flashy. It doesn't have the styling drama of some competitors, it won't win design awards, and your neighbors probably won't stop and stare. But you know what? That's exactly why it's perfect for someone who needs a truck that works rather than a truck that poses. While other people are making payments on 30-year mortgages disguised as truck loans, you're driving a paid-off Frontier that starts every single morning and asks for nothing but regular oil changes. The bed is a proper steel construction with tie-down points, a spray-in bed liner available on many models, and dimensions that actually make sense for truck work. The tailgate is solid and functions like a tailgate should, which sounds basic, but you'd be surprised how many modern trucks overcomplicate this simple mechanism. The Frontier keeps it straightforward. Open the tailgate, load your stuff, close the tailgate, go to work. Here's my absolute favorite aspect of the Frontier, and this is what really cements it as number one. The ownership experience is shockingly affordable. Insurance rates are reasonable because it's not a flashy vehicle that attracts thieves or a massive truck that insurance companies categorize as high risk. Parts are readily available because Nissan sold these trucks globally and kept the same design for years. Fuel economy, while not spectacular, is respectable for a V6 truck. You're looking at high teens in mixed driving, which beats most V8 competitors. And the maintenance requirements are straightforward and infrequent, assuming you do the basics. The aftermarket support is robust too. Because the platform stayed consistent for so long, companies developed extensive product lines for the Frontier. Want to lift it? There are proven kits. Need better shocks? Multiple options. Looking to add armor or accessories? The market is there. But here's the beautiful part. Most Frontier owners don't need extensive modifications because the truck is already so capable in stock form. Let me share why this truck has earned cult status among people who genuinely depend on their vehicles. There are countless stories, and I mean countless, of Frontiers running past 400,000 miles on original engines and transmissions. Not rebuilt, not swapped, original. Just regular maintenance, and these trucks keep going.
That's not marketing. That's not exaggeration. That's documented reality from owners who share their experiences because they're genuinely amazed at what they're getting for their money. The value proposition here is almost absurd. For $5,000, you can find a Frontier with reasonable miles, good condition, and years of reliable service ahead of it, while someone else is dropping 50 grand on a new truck that depreciates 20% the moment they drive off the lot. You're getting proven reliability, known quantities, and a vehicle that's already done the hard work of depreciation. Your $5,000 investment might still be worth $3,000 in 5 years, while their $50,000 truck is worth $30,000. The math is not even close. So, there you have it, the Nissan Frontier. Number one on our list, not because it's the biggest, not because it's the most powerful, not because it'll impress anyone at a car show. It's number one because it represents the absolute pinnacle of what a $5,000 truck should be. Reliable, capable, practical, and proven. It's the truck that mechanics drive because they know what lasts. It's the truck that smart buyers choose because they understand value. It's the truck that laughs at planned obsolescence and just keeps working, year after year, mile after mile.
So there's your lineup. 4 legendary trucks that prove you don't need to go broke to get something genuinely bulletproof. The Hilux with its global domination, the Silverado with its American muscle, the F-150 with its proven pedigree, and the Frontier sitting at the top because sometimes the best answer is the one nobody sees coming. If this video just saved you $45,000, do me a favor, smash that like button so hard your mouse files a complaint. Subscribe to the channel because we're just getting started with content that actually helps you make smart decisions instead of expensive mistakes. Drop a comment and tell me which truck you're hunting for. Or if you already own one of these legends, share your mileage and let everyone know these trucks really do last forever. And here's your homework. Share this video with that friend who's about to make a terrible financial decision at a dealership. You might just save them from years of regret and monthly payments that feel like a second mortgage. Until next time, keep it smart, keep it reliable, and remember, the best truck is the one that's paid off and still running. Now get out there and find your $5,000 legend.